What is going on, guys? This is your boy Astrum Sensei back with another Unreal Engine 4 tutorial. This is part 5 of the RPG series, and in this video we are going to be fixing the issue that we had with the movement system. So right now we have this problem. It's not really a problem, it was first like a choice for me. Like I wanted the character to just move around like this, and you know, when like they would turn to wherever your camera is looking. So it's kind of like a lot of third-person action games like God of War, the latest one, or the Last of Us. Like during, like, not the Last of Us, what games are like that, you know, specifically action adventure games. And you know, I was just I did say before that I'm not gonna fix it, but you know, I just wanted to give you guys the option. So let us go ahead and do that. And I know that I promised to do the equip weapon animation and mesh for like in this part, but it's gonna have to wait one more part because you know, this is something that needs to be fixed, as we have already like before we actually stop working on the movement system itself. It's not going to be like anything hard. We're just going to have to change a few things. So if you guys are looking forward to this, make sure to like the video and subscribe if you are new to the channel. Check out the rest of the series, you know, it's going to be fun. So check out the start and the entire thing and follow along with me. And if you want early access to a few more videos, you can definitely go to my Patreon, where you can get early access to and let us start. So currently the thing is that we are moving the character, in the event tick we are currently rotating the character to wherever the control rotation is looking. So the control rotation is basically the camera's rotation, and we are rotating towards it only if we are moving. So we want to change that. You know, we're going to use a similar setup, but it's going to be a little bit different. So we are going to go to the third person BP, blueprints, and third person character. And we go to the event graph. Where's our event tick? Oh yeah, it's way up here. I didn't look here. So yeah, this is what we are currently doing. If the forward input or the side input are not 0, so if we are not moving, then we will, if we are moving, since you know 0 is moving, 0 is idle, we will set the character's rotation to be the control rotation. We want to change that a bit because you know, this is going to be what we are going to be using for the lock-on if we keep using this newer system that we're going to do. So yeah, I'm just going to disconnect it and move it up there. And what we want to do is we want to copy the set actor rotation, the rInterp2, and the get actor rotation of us. And we're going to paste them over here. We're going to be using this setup. So let's just disconnect this one like this. And what we want to do now is we want to get the velocity, basically the velocity is where we are moving and in what speed, you know, in what direction and what speed. And we want to just get that somehow, and we want to rotate towards that. So we are going to do that. We're going to attempt that. So right now we want to go and create a character interface, like a blueprint interface, because you know, blueprint interfaces, I didn't use them in the first 4 parts. I used cast nodes, and you can definitely go with either. Cast nodes are easier to understand, that's why I went with them, but blueprint interfaces are more optimized and they offer, you know, better performance, and basically they connect everything better if you get them working properly. So we're gonna definitely use a blueprint interface for this, and I'm not sure about the previous stuff. We might just, you know, polish everything and move them to the interface, but for now, you know, we're just focusing on the movement for this part. So I'm gonna call this one blueprint, or no, not blueprint, just interface character, and I'm going to open it. And over here, we are going to add a new function, which is going to be called getControlVelocity. And we want to make an output. We're going to call it control velocity. And this one, we are going to make it a vector. Now we are going to compile. And we're going to go back to our character. We're going to go to class settings, and we are going to add the interface that we have just created. So I'm just going to type interface. And where is interface character? Here it is. And now if you go to the interfaces section over here that has just appeared, you should find getControlVelocity. We should open this. By the way, I actually, didn't get this working properly with my current system. Let us get started with what we want to do. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get the control rotation of ourself. And we are going to get the forward vector. The forward vector is where we are, like, the vector of our forward movement. We also have one called getRight vector. And these don't just apply to forward and right, they also the opposite, backwards for this one and left for this one. And we want to just split this split struct pin on the control rotation and on these two. And connect the Z to the Z and the Z to the Z. So we're getting the Z of the control rotation. We are putting it here. And we are going to multiply it. We get move forward. Or just, type move forward and you should find it. And we have another one. So just type move right. And basically, we want to copy the multiplication over here as well. We're going to multiply this vector by this float. And we are going to normalize. Oh, sorry. Before we normalize, we're actually going to put them together. So once we add them, this is going to be the control velocity. We're getting the control velocity by, calculating all this stuff. And basically, this is the velocity that the player wants to move through. So anyway, we have normalized them and made it and added them as the control velocity using this interface function. Now we can go back to our event graph. And where is it? It's over here. Basically, what we want to do is we want to get this entire function. We're going to put it over here and connect it to the event tick. And after that, you just want to set actor rotation. And the control velocity should be rotation from X vector. And you just connect it to the target. So we're getting the rotation of the X vector and we are putting it as the target that we are interping into. And the delta time, you can just connect it to the delta seconds, but we're gonna have to change this. We don't want to play this in the event tick forever. So yeah, we're just gonna do it temporarily over here and move it if it works. Now that we have done this, things are actually not gonna work. So for example, it's just not what you want. It's not gonna work the way you expected. So there are a few things that we need to change right now. First of all, the movement input. This one, everything we did here, it was not really necessary, sadly, but we are still going to be using similar code in order to be able to tell between running and sprinting. So you just want to disconnect this like this. And what else do we need to do? We need to go to the animation blueprint, and we need to... Where's the animation blueprint? Let me find it first. Okay, so here it is. We're going to go to the event graph, and we are going to be checking out what we are doing. We have the character, and we check if it's valid. Then we get the inputs from the cast node, which is this one, by the way. We get the inputs, and we promote them to their own variables. So we're not going to be using this anymore. However, we are going to be using something similar. So right now, you know, before all of this, let's just disconnect it without deleting anything. And we're still going to need the character in order to get the other variables to work. So I'm not going to like delete everything, but let's just move it over there. Now what we want to do is we want to try get pawn owner. So this is basically, instead of the character, we are going to get the variables from here. However, you know, for variables that you have made yourself, this is not going to work. So that is why, you know, try get pawn owner works for variables that are not really like specific to one character. But anyway, let us get the actors forward vector and right vector. And let us try getting the control velocity. Get control velocity, which is the, you know, interface function that we have created. And also before doing this, we want to check if pawn owner is valid. So just search for is valid, the white one, and connect it like this. So if the pawn owner is valid, we are going to get the control velocity. And this control velocity, what we want to do is we want to dot it with the forward vector. So it's basically the same thing that we did in the old tutorial series, but it's also still a little bit different. So I'm just connecting it like this. And you want to connect, like, dot the control velocity with each of those separately. And then, you know, you promote these to a variable, or you just set the side input and the forward input. So we set side input to be this one, and forward input to be the forward vector dotted with this one. And just connect it like this. Let us just make some space. And I'm not sure if there's one more thing I need to do. Let us just check and see if it works or not. So as you can see, it actually does work. But, you know, once you let go, the character is going to move back. Like, they're just going to turn back to whatever, like to the starting. So we're gonna have to fix that. So there is something missing. We actually forgot to check if we are moving or not before we do this entire thing. So I'm just gonna select everything, move it apart, and then we can get the velocity, and we can check if the vector length is less than, or if it's greater than, and this can be any number you want, really. It just doesn't have to be huge. So I'm gonna go with 2 and make a branch. And you know, I've been using Unreal Engine for many years, and I'm almost like a professional, and I still do not know that you can actually make a branch by pressing B on the keyboard and double clicking. Can you believe it? Like, how come no one has ever mentioned this? I do not know. But anyway, now that we have checked if the velocity is greater than basically any number, or if it's not equal to 0, that would also work. Yeah, actually that might be a little bit better. But anyway, let's check it like this. This should be working. So let us give it a try before, you know, going for other fixes. So guys, I found the main problem. It's actually the fact that we are using the event tick for this. So what we're going to do now is basically we're going to cut all of this, and we're going to use it over here in the move forward and in the move right. So let us go ahead and do that. We're just going to cut this by using Control X, and we're going to paste it over here. And all of this stuff for the rotation and the, for the running and the sprinting, we're not going to really need it, but I'm just going to keep it there because we're going to have to use similar code for fixing it in the animation blueprint. So right now we have this. So we check if the velocity is not, like, if it's greater than 0 also works. It doesn't have to be 0. It doesn't have to be 2. I'm going to go with 0.1 just for, you know, the sake of, you know, stuff. But anyway, when we move forward or when we move right, we want to branch. So we're going to check if the axis value is not 0. So the axis value, just type not equal to 0. And if that is the case, then we are going to do this line of code. And of course, we're going to do the same thing for the move right. So we're going to check if it's not equal to 0. And if that is the case, we are also going to rotate. So yeah, like this, it should definitely work. And the character shouldn't rotate back because we are not constantly checking, you know. But there is one thing, it's the delta time. The delta time, you can just go and get world delta seconds, and that should just replace it. Like, it's basically the same thing as, you know, using the event tick for it. So I think it should work now. Let's just change the interp speed from 6 to 3 because we want her to rotate faster. And if we press play and try moving, you can see that the rotation actually works. And it is perfect. She doesn't rotate back again or anything. She just does it perfectly. However, now we want to get the running and the sprinting to work. And it's going to be a very, very basic process. So we are just going to do it in the animation blueprint. Since we have these two variables, we're definitely not going to need them in the third person character anymore. We're definitely going to delete the forward input and the side input, but we do have them in the animation blueprint, so we are going to do this entire thing over there. So we go back here to the AnimBP event graph, and this entire thing, we're not going to need it anymore. We're going to go to where we check the combat mode, and we should do it before that actually. We get the character. We check if we are running, so just type get running. And then we're going to promote that to a variable. Actually, before we promote the sprinting one to a variable, let's just do the running thing. So if we are really running, then we are going to just get the forward input. We're going to set them, the forward input and the side input. And we are going to multiply them. So let's just move these away. So we're going to multiply the forward input and the side input by 2. So that we can reach where it plays the running animation in the blend space. But we actually forgot to just do the branch. So just B and double click. Oh my god, this is genius. I wish it was like I knew it since I started Unreal Engine stuff. No one actually told me about it. But anyway, we're just gonna get the forward input and multiply it by 2. And the side input and multiply it by 2. And that should actually get it working. However, we want to continue with the code, and what we're going to do after that is we are going to check if we are sprinting. So we just go copy this, get sprinting, and we're going to branch. If we are sprinting, we're going to copy this entire thing and paste it here. And in order for us to reach the sprinting number in the animation blueprint, we need to change that to 3. So the side input and the forward. Actually, we do not need the side input for the sprinting since we only decided that we can sprint forward. So I'm just going to delete that. So yeah, we're just going to set the forward input, and that is going to be the sprinting forward input. So yeah, that just works. Now for the combat mode, when we check it, you know, we can actually just connect it to the branch. So if it's false, we're going to connect it here. And if that one is false, we are also going to connect it here. And also if it actually does it in the end, we're still going to connect it. So oh yeah, there is also that one. You know what? I think I'm just going to cut this and move it to its own sequence. So after we check if the character is valid, we can just create a sequence. And the first line is going to be dedicated to running and sprinting. Let us actually just, you know, organize everything before we continue. So we set character running to be this variable. And if it's true, we are going to set the forward input and the side input. Organizing takes lots of time, but it's definitely worth it. And let's just keep the sprinting separate. We're just going to add a comment on this. And the comment, it's going to say check if running. And for the other one, I'm going to add another comment, and I'm going to call it check if sprinting. And over here in the sequence, we can just connect the other one and call this check combat mode. And I think we should be good to go. So if we actually give it a try, did I actually, yeah, I did change the number. So if we press play and press the shift button, we are sprinting. And also we can switch between running and walking. And if the animations were good, you know, everything would be great. But, you know, since they are terrible, they just, you know, the movement is not really the best. It's definitely fine, but it's not really the best. And yeah, it's just perfect. So there is one more thing I wanted to mention. This code, which is over here, we're actually not going to delete it. We're going to use this later for the lock-on system. So I'm just going to call this lock on rotation. And we're just going to come back and optimize this later. But the ones for the running and the sprinting, we do not need them anymore. So right now the move forward doesn't actually change the forward input and the side input. So we're going to actually delete these variables. They are definitely not useful to us anymore. And yeah, I think that is all. It just works perfectly now, and you can rotate the character however you want. So if you guys have enjoyed this tutorial, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel. If you are new, you should definitely check out the other stuff that I do. Super special thanks to my precious patrons. If you want to get videos ahead or the project files, definitely check out my Patreon page. And yeah guys, I'll see you in the next video. Take care, have a great day, and bye.